body is not in the position to regulate blood sugar. And whenever our body cannot maintain optimum blood sugar in us, or the required blood sugar, either high or low, by the time we have the hyperglycemia is now where we are diabetic, is now where we are suffering from the diabetic condition. And you can see very clearly illustrated in that image there. There's a blood vessel, it's an artery, and in the first blood vessel, there is normal glucose, which is the yellow substances, together now with the blood cells. But in the second picture, you can see that there is too high amount of blood sugar, which is now this glucose. And the moment that there is high glucose in the bloodstream, the moment there is high blood sugar in our bodies, is now we are suffering from the diabetic condition, the hyperglycemia. Give me the next slide as we proceed swiftly. And in this next is where now we're gonna discuss. First, I give you a very good framework on understanding this disease called diabetes, what's all behind it. And this is the foundational insight on diabetes. Give me the next slide, James, where you can see that in this diagram, there is a cell. The cell is the big yellow thing there, and there is something called insulin. And the insulin, as you can see, is that it's something like a conical shaped thing that it's like it should enter somewhere, because the work of insulin is to act like a key. Now, insulin, it's a hormone which comes from our pancreas. And this blood sugar, because we are not talking about any normal sugar, we are talking about the glucose, which is supposed to provide our body with energy. The glucose that comes from food. Remember, it's our starch. Carbohydrates are converted to glucose, and this glucose has to be used by cells for energy production. The mitochondria has to generate energy from it. But this glucose, for it to be able to reach the mitochondria inside a cell, it has to be allowed. Something has to open room for it to be permeable inside a cell. And now that's the work of this hormone, which is the insulin, which is released by the organ called pancreas. And as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, in that image there, for that glucose, that red glucose that you can see, for it to be able to penetrate inside, as you can see in the below image, for it to be able to penetrate inside a cell. Take me back to the previous slide, James. You have not finished. The insulin has to open the cell to allow the permeability of glucose inside it. And I will read it clearly so that you may understand even further. Glucose is the main source of energy of cells. Other potential sources are proteins, lipids, like the proteins, we know the fatty acids, lipids, the proteins, amino acids, the lipids, the fatty acids. And your body can make glucose, but glucose also comes from the food you eat. Your body can generate glucose from your muscles, the store of energy. Insulin is a hormone made by the pancreas that helps glucose get into your cell, as I have told you. And now the next image, as you can see, give me the next image, James. It's the work of insulin. It opens the cell to allow glucose to enter inside our cells. So the moment there is no insulin, the moment the pancreas cannot release insulin, there will be blood sugar, because you are eating carbohydrates, glucose is being processed in your body. But for that glucose to be useful inside a cell, insulin has to allow it to enter. So insulin is that key. And that key comes from where? Comes from our pancreas. So imagine insulin as a key. This is a simple analogy now to understand the framework all about diabetes, hyperglycemia, hyperglycemia. In a normal body condition, insulin unlocks the door, allowing glucose to enter the cell for energy. That's a normal person. So if you are normal, your pancreas will release the hormone insulin. Insulin will go up to the cell, open door for the glucose, which is in the bloodstream, to penetrate inside, so that the mitochondria can generate energy from it. Inside where? Inside our cell. Now, what's type 1 diabetes? No key is available. The pancreas isn't making insulin. Now, if a person tells you that I am diabetic, what kind of diabetes do you have? I have type 1 diabetes. So that person is telling you that my pancreas, which should generate the key to allow glucose to enter my cell, is not producing those keys. So I have a pancreas, but it's useless. If a person has type 1 diabetes, is that kind of person. Type 2 diabetes kind of person. The key exists, but the lock is jammed. So here I'm imagining I'm trying to enter a door which I cannot open because the lock has been damaged, or maybe the place where I should place my key inside, the entire door has already been whacked. So my pancreas is very normal, so it's releasing insulin, but where the insulin should be effective, it's becoming ineffective, causing the condition that we call insulin resistance. Let's proceed, James. Now, here I'm gonna give you a very framework of you to understand the normal glucose level, low blood sugar, high blood sugar, and now pre-diabetes. And I want you first even to consider this pre-diabetes as a type of diabetes, but we shall understand why is it pre. And if you understand the meaning of pre, it's something that has not matured. A pre-candidate is not yet a candidate, but he's getting there. So this pre-diabetes is the diabetes that has not yet matured, but I'm still getting to that place of hyperglycemia. Now, for normal person, a person with no diabetes, the rating of his blood sugar when he has not eaten anything should be 100 milligrams per deciliter of blood sugar. But when he eats, remember, when he eats, he has added the carbohydrates. The carbohydrates is the source of glucose. So automatically, the glucose level will rise because he has deposited sources of glucose in his body. So after eating, the glucose levels may rise up to 140, but less than 140 milligrams. For pre-diabetes, now I've told you that this pre-diabetes is diabetes in disguise. It's hyperglycemia in disguise. It has not yet matured to diabetes, but you are in the risk. And that's why we shall see it as a type of diabetes later. A person with pre-diabetes, when he has not eaten anything, you can see his levels of blood sugar are still high. And I will just break it down for you because I will have to. So the reason the person has 100 to 125 milligrams per deciliter of blood sugar, but still the condition has not yet matured to diabetes, is because the insulin resistance has not become or has not manifested to cause harm into the body yet. So there can be a slight insulin resistance in his body, but it has not matured yet to cause damage. And that's why we call it pre-diabetes. There's too much sugar in your bloodstream, but still the cell is accommodating some type of insulin. Hence, some type of glucose is managing to enter my cell. But that doesn't change the fact that my body is concentrated with too much blood sugar. So the moment it will develop further, where the insulin resistance will have completely matured, now it's when it will be called now diabetes. But because the cell are somehow able to receive that glucose level despite some slight insulin resistance, is why we call it the pre-diabetes. And we're gonna see it later as we discuss the types of diabetes, which will be the last one actually. And now the diabetes, a person who has hyperglycemia, when he has not eaten anything, the blood sugar readings are already 126 milligrams per deciliter, the blood sugar. And the hypoglycemia, and the reason we do not consider the hypoglycemia as a type of diabetes, it's for a person to have the condition of low blood sugar, the resultant causes are the same of hyperglycemia. So you may have high blood sugar and then all of a sudden you turn out to have low blood sugar, but you cannot from normal blood sugar up to hypoglycemia. You cannot come from having normal blood sugar levels all the way to low blood sugar level. So it's very important to know that you maintaining normal blood sugar levels is the main thing, and to ensure that your blood sugar will not rise, so that even the hypoglycemia, the low blood sugar, cannot take place in your body. Give me the next slide, James. And now here we go now to the main cause of our topic today, which is the types of diabetes. And give me the next slide. The first kind of diabetes, we call it type 1 diabetes. And this is an autoimmune attack. Remember, guys, when we were discussing about arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis was still an autoimmune attack where my immune cells will mistakenly attack my bone cartilages. But now here in case of diabetes, my immune cells, rather than attacking the cartilages in the case of arthritis, here they are attacking the pancreatic cells, meaning they are attacking the pancreas mistakenly, maybe due to genetics or maybe due to an infection that is misdirecting your immune cells to attack that specific organ. And here we find that the moment this act is prolonged, give me the next slide, James. You can see the autoimmune condition. Whenever the immune cells, they may start to attack the healthy pancreas, which is not damaged in any way, but the moment they attack it, they reduce the healthy cells to dormant cell. We can have a cyst. If that act is prolonged, we have a tumor. We have a cancerous tumor later. And now, when this process is not attended to, when this act of trying to mitigate my immune cells attacking my pancreas is not mitigated, we have a failed pancreas. And now that's the moment now where a person has the type 1 diabetes, because the organ which should release the key to open blood sugar for cells has already been damaged. So there is no insulin being produced. And if there's no insulin being produced, the blood sugar in my bloodstream is not permeable to get inside my cells. So the mitochondria does not receive anything or does not receive the glucose to produce energy from. Now, this condition, because it's an autoimmune attack, the causes, give me the next slide, you can see are very clear, can be a result of, it can be as a result of genetic. Remember your genetics. And that's why we were saying that some diseases get to us very much innocently. Something like cancer can get to you very much innocently because of your genetics. Something like heart attack, if your genetics define that when you reach a certain age, your blood vessels shall vasoconstrict in a very abnormal way, inhibiting the blood flow, you can have a heart attack. Very innocent. You haven't done anything to your body, but just because of genetics causing that autoimmune illness. And that's why you are saying that if DNA is something, if genetics is something that we cannot change, so it's us to work to redirect it. And there is no medication to redirect our genetics on how they define our growth and development. But the only thing that we can assure is to ensure that the biological process that should happen in a normal human being are taking place. And that's why the regenerative way of medication is able to address these genetic disorders, because this is a disease getting a person very much innocently, but it's because the DNA is defining some abnormalities. So we are redirecting it to define normal growth and to define normal growth patterns and development patterns. And that's why the autoimmune attack, addressing it in a conventional way, there is no solution. But by ensuring the biological processes in the cellular level are taking place in the required way, that's the only way we can achieve it. A viral infection is something that can stimulate the autoimmune attack still, and you can see the causes of type 1 diabetes are very simple, because this is an autoimmune attack. This is something that happens mistakenly. Same to rheumatoid arthritis. And give me the next slide, James. so that we may, I will just like to finish by 9 so that we may have a very ample 30 minutes for question and answer with the professional. Type 2 diabetes now. And this is the most common type of diabetes. Remember, type 1 diabetes, our immune cells are attacking the organ responsible to to release the keys, which should allow blood sugar to enter my cell. But what about type 2 diabetes? Type 2 diabetes is very different because here, my pancreas is very okay. So if my pancreas is very okay, insulin is being released. But now where the insulin should be useful, it's no longer useful because the cells are resisting. And I would like to take you directly now to the causes. And now we're going to see even the danger of this type 2 diabetes, addressing it in a very unknowledgeable way, which is the reason we do these Zoom meetings, to ensure that anything that is not at our insight as of before, with this idea of regenerative element, we are able to understand even our bodies better. Because the moment there's rupture in our bodies, we cannot use medication to reconstruct our bodies. Our bodies has to be in the capacity for it to be able to regenerate. And you're gonna see the insulin resistance is even a cause of age. Age is a factor. Kindly, James, give me the next slide. We proceed. Kindly, James, give me the next slide. Hello, James. Now give me the next. Now here I've just presented the causes of type 2 diabetes very roughly, but I want us to go much deeper to them, and we're gonna see, because there are some causes which we are accountable for, and we can be accountable and responsible to eliminate them. But the way I've said, some causes still are out of our reach. Some causes are not because of us. They happen to us very much innocently. But a disease is very ruthless. It does not care whether it catches you on the right track or whether on the wrong track. Whenever it enters your body, its work is to destroy. And that's why it's us to be able to know how to address it. And now that's why we're gonna see the causes elaborated very different from how you can see in the display here. In the next display, give me the next display, James. And we're gonna start with this cause. The first cause of type 2 diabetes, you can have belly fat. Having a lot of belly fat around your stomach and organs increases the risk of insulin resistance. Now here is where it's like the fat is insulating and making insulin insensitive to your cells. Fat in the wrong places. When fat builds up in the liver, muscles, and other parts of the body, it makes it harder for insulin to work properly. It's like it's a hindrance. The insulin sensitivity has to dissect through the fats that you have deposited in your body for it to be sensitive to the cell. Number two, because this is something that you are accountable for, still you can be responsible to ensure that you do away with it. Number two, not enough physical activity. This is something that you can address to ensure that your body is in good condition. Sitting too much, a lifestyle with little movement lowers the body's ability to use insulin effectively. Remember, the activeness of a cell, our blood vessels tend to become stiff as we age, which we're gonna see age as a factor very different from this, but the physical activity ensures that the elasticity in our body. Lack of muscle strength. Regular exercise help insulin work better. Having less muscle can make insulin resistance worse. Unhealthy diet and lifestyle. Eating too much, the same case to number two. It's your decision of not working out. It's your decision of not ensuring that you're exercising your body. So you are in the right position to make sure that does no longer define you. And number three, the same case, unhealthy diet and lifestyle. Eating too much junk food, processed foods. Remember this, too much carbohydrates, they cause too much glucose in us, because glucose comes from the starchy foods. Eating too much junk food, processed foods, sugary drinks, and unhealthy fats can weaken insulin function, Too many carbs, eating a lot of starchy and sugary foods may increase insulin resistance, but this effect varies person to person. Remember, I've told you about pre-diabetes. A person can be having 125 milligrams per deciliter of blood sugar, but still the insulin resistance in his body is not high, so he may be told that you're not yet diabetic. But the same, it can happen to another person with the same kind or with the same amount of blood sugar in his body, but the insulin resistance to his cells has already been or has already matured, and now he is considered diabetic. So this condition of it varying person to person, it's very evident. As you can see, there's a person who very much eats starchy food, but he does not experience the diabetic symptoms. But these three factors are something that you can address. You can ensure that this process of type 2 diabetes does not define you, because you can decide, I will exercise, I will reduce the fat in my body. Number two, I will ensure whenever there's not too much fat in my body, the reason I was exercising. So you've already killed a bird with those two stones. And about eating healthy diet, still it's upon you. But here are the other reasons which are not our responsibility, but they just happen to us out of this some forces of unfortunates in life. And you're gonna see, give me the next slide. The first we're gonna talk about is genetics and other factors. We have talked about how our genetics can define some abnormal growth and development. If your genetics is making an autoimmune illness where your immune cells are attacking your pancreas, we cannot blame it on you. But because we are of human intelligence, we combine it with spiritual intelligence, we understand that the moment we use the kind of regenerative way of medication, we align our body back to the normal biological processes. Getting older, remember the reason why we say regenerative medication is a need and not a want is because regenerative medication becomes a need whenever we surpass this age of 25 years. Our body loses the ability to regenerate as it was before. So it's us to use a foreign energy, which is the terahertz frequencies, to stimulate, to excite our cells to be able to complete those biological processes that will ensure that my body is becoming stable and much stronger, that just the way it was before I surpassed this age of 25, ensuring that it's not the moment I reach 25 years, I'm going in a downward spiral. The moment I reach 25 years, I should have energetic cells, and because my body has lost the capability of apoptosis and cell division the way it was doing before, I will excite them by a certain energy, and that will ensure that my body cell filling and repair inside and outside is happening. Hormone changes, and this will cause maybe the gestational diabetes, but this is temporary, and that's why we won't focus on the sixth cause. But still, this is not on your blame, because hormone changes, pregnancy cannot be your fault. Number 7, some medications like steroids. Remember, like steroids will ensure that sugar is being retained in you, and that accumulation of sugar in your body can cause the high blood sugar. Too much stress and long-term inflammation. Remember what I told you about stress. Stress is a psychological harm that you prompt your body. It prompts your immune cells that there is a danger. And this danger is actually psychological. So if it's psychological and the immune cells have been released to fight something which isn't there, so they will harm the active cells. Whenever they harm the active cells, they ionize them, they cause an inflammation there, and this process actually repeats itself. Remember the cytokines in the macrophages, the cytokines in our immune cells, they are inflammatory messengers. And the body, whenever it's triggered, or the moment our immune cells are triggered by the cytokines to know there's an inflammation somewhere, so they will continue to attack and attack. And we have seen from the type 1 diabetes, as it has shown us a very clear illustration. This prolonged attack by our immune cells is what even caused the organ failure. And imagine if that can be can be or can orchestrate from just something psychological like stress, guys, it's up to us to act. And that long-term inflammation, remember the way I've said, ionizing the healthy cells, dormant cells, the cause of the inflammation. Now, with that, we shall just consider, give me the next slide, the only two types of diabetes, which will be our last, which are the pre-diabetes, of which I've already explained so much about it, the diabetes in disguise, and the gestational diabetes, which is a temporary diabetes that happens due to pregnancy hormones. And people with pre-diabetes have blood glucose levels that are higher than normal, but not high enough to be diagnosed with diabetes type 2. So the blood sugar is high, but the insulin resistance, the cells still are allowing some blood sugar inside. The insulin resistance has not yet matured, but that does not change the fact there is too much blood sugar in my blood vessels or in my bloodstream. If you have pre-diabetes, you have a higher risk of developing type 2 diabetes. And that's why I've said we must consider it as a type of diabetes. Just because your genetics maybe have been favored by God, that the insulin resistance is still not manifested to cells in a way that it can cause harm, that doesn't mean that you are not in a risk of developing the symptoms or the dangers or the effect or the resultant effect of having too much blood sugar in you. It's just a matter of time. That's the point. Difference from type 2 diabetes, yeah. In pre-diabetes, the body is still somewhat managing blood sugar, okay? Though inefficiently. So remember, the body, the cells are, the insulin resistance is not high, but still there is an insulin resistance. And that's why it's still a kind of diabetes, only that the insulin resistance has not matured completely for it to inhibit glucose to enter cells like in type 2 diabetes, but the resistance is just slightly. So the body is somehow feeling it, but not feeling it really. While in type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance is so severe that blood sugar stay dangerously high, and the pancreas may become exhausted, producing little or no insulin. Hope about pre-diabetes is clear, and anything about the types of diabetes which is not clear now, you can put it in the question and answer, which will be our next slide. And finally, the gestational diabetes. I've told you actually recently about the pregnancy hormones. Happens during pregnancy because hormones block insulin effects. If untreated, it can cause big babies, C-section, and future diabetes risk. Usually disappears after birth, but women who had it have a higher risk of type 2 diabetes later. And now give me the last slide, James, where I don't like to dwell much on this, but I provide this so that you guys can see for yourself. Remember, in this Zoom, we are not gonna discuss the effect of diabetes, but these are the kind of medications offered conventionally for addressing diabetes, which are very clear to show that they have an impact in us, which is a positive impact. But that positive impact is something that our body cannot sustain for long. And true healing is ensuring optimum healing. The reason of regenerative medication is, like, for example, I cannot suppress my pancreas to release low amount of insulin so that I may disguise myself to be free from hyperglycemia. If no matter how much insulin will be released by my pancreas, my body should be able to regulate it. That is what we call true healing. And that's why anything that is damaged, we cannot reinstate it conventionally. The reason why we provide regenerative way of treatment is to ensure our body are in the capacity to be able to accept treatment the way it should. Not treatment that will be a lifetime treatment, but something that will help my body to sustain this pain for a little bit while until my body is able to be back to normal. So we play this part to ensure that I am not managing any symptom, but I am reinstating my organ back to normal. My immune cells have already attacked my pancreas, but this pancreas, I cannot suppress it from producing insulin because it has been harmed for me to feel that I'm not feeling the symptoms of the effect of having high blood sugar in me. So what should I do? I should ensure that this damaged pancreas by my immune cells is reinstated back to where it was before. How can I do that without surgery? My body is in the capacity to self-heal. I'm surpassed my aging. I have surpassed my age of apoptosis. My self-healing is no longer the same. You can see yourself right now, the way you were healing before, the way a kid can enter a room with a wound and an old person can enter a room with the same wound. The younger person will come out faster because our body tends to telomeres. Our cells lose the capacity to ensure self-healing repeatedly as it was when I was younger. But now, since I cannot be a victim of not having the right knowledge to bring my body back, I know about regenerative treatment, which will give my body, which will stimulate that energy my body lost to self-heal very fast as it was doing before. But now I know about the itera care. If I just illuminate it at that particular part, it has the capacity to penetrate 30 centimeter deep. So it's addressing even the bone marrow, reaching each and every organ internally. Self-healing starts to manifest. If the doctor is trying to suppress the insulin production for that period of time, it won't take your lifetime until you reach a place where you're going even for the dialysis, because my kidney is just a matter of time for it to regenerate back and it will be able to produce this insulin, which it could not produce before. And that has always been the idea. So we do not try to show that our medications are better, though proven by testimonials, they have proven to be very much better. But the only thing we are trying to help in the conventional way of medication is to ensure that we are treating people the right way by ensuring we are giving them the natural way of healing, which will be prolonged throughout their lifetime. And with that, give me the next slide. We give room to question and answer where we shall be taken through by Dr. Cynthia. If you have any question about diabetes, only the types of diabetes, because remember, this first session will just address the types of diabetes. The second session, we shall see the effect of the diabetes in our bodies. And in the last session, we're gonna see how this diabetes can bring out even other causes or other forms of illnesses like cancer, like blood pressure, heart attack, organ failures, all of them. So I give room to Dr. Cynthia. Any question you have, you can drop it to the chat. If you feel comfortable, you can unmute your speaker and address to her directly. And I hope everybody will be contented. And if you are contented still with that information, we can adjourn the meeting at that.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone.
Kindly be close to your speaker.
Good evening.
I don't know if
Good
one
evening.
is your voice at a very low volume.
Yeah. Now,
Am
I've
I the
had
only one who is
issues.
hearing the voice at a low volume? Kindly tell me on the chat, guys.
No. He's okay.
Kindly,
He's
you can
okay.
hear
We
him
can hear
clearly,
him.
guys.
Yes, we can hear him clearly.
Okay, Mr. Kombe,
There are
continue. I think it's my speaker.
there are these people who have got these diabetic wounds, and giving them treatment has been a bit challenging because I've had cases where they had to go and consult their doctors. Then, unfortunately, they ended up getting their limbs severed, and then the diabetes was still there, and then they came back to me. Maybe this is something we need to address so that we look at how best to handle such patients when we meet them in our daily endeavors to bring about health and wellness to people. What would be the best way to handle those diabetic wounds or diabetic vidondas?
Mr. Kombe, thank you so much for the question. And I'm also glad also to join this Zoom today. I would like to answer that question. I would like to make each and everyone understand that healing starts from inside. So it's good while tackling now this diabetes with nutrition. It's also advisable. We have a very good product from Thrive International that is called chlorophyll, the alfalfa product. It really helps the wounds. So instead of now going back or starting all over again or continuing with the medication, and this is what now caused or brought up all these challenges, we should advise them to continue with the medication we do offer, that is the nutritional way, and also the detoxification part of it. And as per the wounds, chlorophyll do really help. This is something that I've done before. Yes. So applying it and also consuming it. You consume it the way it's supposed to be, that is thrice daily, then you apply the same chlorophyll to the wounds. And this one really helps. Kombe, I know you know alfalfa, so be advising your patient to use it, as in consume and apply.
Thank you so much. This is I used to tell them to use the alfalfa chlorophyll for cleaning the wounds and also dress the wounds and also drink it. But surprisingly, I've had like 3 or 4 who have gone back to their medical doctors and they were told achana na hiyo, and it was very worse kwa sababu there is a lady who got her toe cut off through surgery. There's another man who got his leg severed. Then when I went to see him, the other leg also had become very black and it was developing some funny things. So there was nothing I could do except to tell him, you should have done what I told you to do. Because I think the other leg was also going to be severed from the rest of the body.
And also, Mr. Kombe, I believe when you do a close follow-up with the patient, because you see it's good to always do this, as in do the dressing for them. And after doing it, I know it only works within a span of 3 days, 4 days, and there is great change. So it's good you do that follow-up. You follow up with them, you do the dressing yourself, then they will see the results very fast. Because others, you tell them to apply, they don't apply the way it's supposed to be. You tell them to consume, they are like a run or not following the directions well, or also doing their own stuff, maybe assuming or even combining with other. Because when you want to do the dressing, just dress it with alfalfa only. If you add something else, you just but deteriorate the wound. So it's good you do the follow-up, and that one will help them.
There's this lady who is 52 years old that I used to dress, but immediately I leave. The son-in-law told me that he would take a bandage and wipe off the chlorophyll. Then she would actually instruct her daughter to take her to hospital to get dressed. You can imagine what happened. I don't want to say it. When the son-in-law told me to stop doing anything for her, I think whatever happened is, you can all imagine, because it was a very serious wound.
I have a
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
Come again?
Okay, ask first the question.
Hi, Dr. Ri. As for, my name is Shirombio, type 1 diabetes. Sini ya kujidunga sindano, it's the type 1?
Yeah, it's the type 1.
Okay, it's generally said out here that it has no cure. There's no way the body can ever generate insulin for itself. Will the Prive products do this for us?
So, Madam Shiro,
Yes.
remember the type 1 diabetes, the reason why you are injecting insulin is because the organ that should release insulin has already been damaged, right?
Yes.
But now, here on regenerative treatment, the conventional way we cannot, there's something that has already been ruptured. There's nothing that can bring it back to life. But our bodies are in the capacity to self-heal if they are in the right condition. If they are provided with the right energy, our body are able to self-heal. And that's why the Tera's frequency, if you Google how Tera's frequency react to biological tissues, biological cells, it stimulates the regenerative way of treatment. If regeneration, what's the word? If cells are regenerating, the next thing that shall happen in your body, cells will start to merge to repair the tissues. If the tissues have been repaired, now the tissues will merge to form an organ which has been reinstated back. So it's us stimulating or you illuminating the frequency that will allow your body to self-heal. And that's why we say that the conventional way of treatment can only manage because it's trying to suppress something that is happening for it not to happen for a certain period of time. But the real treatment is to ensure that this organ is back. They cannot provide medication to bring the organ back to produce insulin, and that's why you are brought the idea that you'll have to live injecting insulin because the organ is already dead. The type 1 diabetes, the immune cells have already ruptured the pancreatic cells, so the pancreas is dead. But if we revive it, if we regenerate the pancreatic cells will merge to form the pancreatic tissues, and the pancreatic tissues form the entire organ of the pancreas, which is now free from any form of illness or any form of attack. So that's the ultimate treatment, because if something has been ruptured, the only way we can medicate it is to unrupture it or bring it back to the way it was before. So either surgery, regenerative treatment, there is no surgery because we believe your body should be able to self-repair. Your body could no longer self-repair because of age, because of some medications as we have seen in the courses, but now by illuminating this frequency, you have given the pancreas the capacity to come back to life. The pancreatic cells are now active. The pancreatic cells will do the work to form the pancreatic tissues, which are active, and the tissues will merge to form the organ, which is now active. So the pancreas has already been reinstated back to life. Hope I've answered your question.
Thank you. That makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Yeah.
Rooney, if I may add something.
Yes, Yusuf.
Yes, good evening. This is Yusuf. I just wanted to weigh in on that because sometimes when we go to hospital, because of the limited technology that was there before, people will tell you that cell regeneration is impossible. But me and you and the people who are in Prive know very well that the case of cerebral palsy, we have a lot of brain cells that are dead. And a good doctor will go and tell you, that's a gone case. We don't have hope for this person. But right now, we have baby Israel who had that condition and he's back to normal. And that is just one case citing. So cell regeneration is possible, just that technology was not exploited, but Prive International is here and it's bringing that technology to us. And we have seen that even through that lady who was to go to India, you remember, and the kneecap was regenerated. I mean, in the 70s.
Yeah, the whole cartilage is back. Yeah.
So I think that's a very strong case to put on here, put across here, so that maybe our listener can be able to have faith that the body can regenerate itself when given the right raw materials. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Yusuf. Yeah, and it's very evident, even it's only that we have to take the initiative to search for this knowledge. Remember about the superhuman protocol, though it's very expensive, you can see its efficacy because the machines are much more advanced in stimulating cell regeneration instantly. So healing, if you get into the superhuman protocol with a wound, the wound is like healing within 36 minutes. Because cell regeneration is what brings back our body to the normal function. Remember, the ultimate, if we address the cells, we have already addressed the entire thing. And this biological process that happen within a cell is what we are bringing them back to life. And that's what our body has lost. So you can see the machines that are offered in the superhuman protocol, though expensive, we can compare them with these private machines. Remember, we are not on much concern on their prices because we cannot ask for a lesser price in a machine that can do cell regeneration. If cell regeneration is done in my body, I have new organs each and every time, and that's why it's a lifestyle. Your body will lose its capacity to ensure that there's cell regeneration in the optimum way. But this lifestyle of regenerative treatment, it's ensuring that I am new each and every time. And thank you very much, Yusuf, for the information. And we give room to any other question, or you can drop a message to a chat.
Another question, can you tell us in summary what you have said, what are the products for diabetes? No, summarize for us.
For diabetes, unless you
Rooney,
go
I guess
for,
I can answer this.
Yeah.
I can answer this, Rooney.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, the products for diabetes, these are of course, the eye trachea to generate the cells, to regenerate the cells, and also there is nutritional part of it, whereby we use this product from Prive. These are the stem cells and also the chlorophyll. And also there is this thing that we don't forget. We need to do the detoxification with the Takara patches. This is whereby we do the detoxification for 1.5 months. And this really helps because it gets rid of cholesterol and eases the circulation. Then while working with the nutrition part of it, whereby you are supposed to avoid carbs, you supplement it with alfalfa, and this helps in energy. So if we follow that, that one works perfectly. I've been doing this, and at testimonial part of it, you'll hear so many of patients testifying that they were injecting themselves, they don't. Also, we have one, I know we have them here, others who are following the Zoom. We have like Catherine in the house, as in she stopped medication like 3 weeks now down the line, and others. So when it's come to testimonial part of it, we're gonna hear from them and their journey. We have others. We have, I know there's somebody else listening to us in this Zoom. The grandmother also has stopped injecting herself like 3 months ago, and was confirmed by Dr. Gikonyo that she is now free from diabetes. So this works. So when we are offering this treatment, those are the products that we normally use. That's the chlorophyll, the Takara patch, and the stem cells, and now this amazing device, the eye trachea.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Cynthia.
Thank you.
Now, is there any other question one should like to raise?
Rooney, if I just, maybe it's not a question, maybe it's just an addition, because
you can do that.
People tend to think that once they have taken nutrition, once they have their meds, now the condition or the disease that they are suffering from is going to be like they are going to be free from that. And that is far from truth. Life is all around. We have to look at the sleeping patterns and eating patterns. We have to look at the diet part of it, because we can't be working on one area and on the other one unaharibu. We can't be talking about diabetes, and when we are talking about these high sugar, high sugar fruits, high sugar starches, you're still on them. Ukiambiwa usikule, unasema huwa sikuli, nauma tu kadogo, but even that kadogo, what portion can we say is enough for you? So once you are told by one of our professionals or one of our doctors that you need to go slow on this, stop this for a period of time, because we need you to recover. Maybe later you can go back to it once you go to normal, but during that period, it's not only about diet. Exercise you cannot supplement. Sleep you cannot supplement. They are purely personal. So in as much as we are advising on using all those things, there are those other things that we not set aside. So I needed you to emphasize on that. So thank you.
Yeah, actually that is true, and that's why even I've differentiated the causes. The first causes that we looked at, the 3 causes, I think they are good. James, take us back to the 3 causes kindly. Remember, look at these first causes. Yeah, they are there. Take me the previous one. Forward, go forward. Yeah, they are there. Look, too much body fat. Too much body fat, you can actually stand up and ensure that you are working towards that. Not having enough physical activity, it's still for you to take that initiative. Diet and lifestyle. It's this I've not dwelt much on these causes, because this is something that you can address, and that's why I've dwelt on the causes that are not on our hand, like genetics. And that's why I was saying
Rooney,
that
can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Rooney, please, can I ask a question to Dr. Cynthia?
Yeah,
I have a nephew,
Yeah.
and he suffered from asthma since he was young. But then now, very recently, he's just been going to hospital, and then he collapsed the other day. Then he went to hospital. He was taken to hospital. When he got to hospital, we thought it was the chest that was clogged because of the asthma. Maybe he needed nebulization. Now, understandably, the doctors have told him he needs insulin shots. I don't understand what all that is all about. And since he was taken by his fellow friends to hospital, since he lives on his own. Maybe the doctor can tell us what is all that about. Like today, he sent me a photo with an injection, right? Like where the guys who have kidneys usually have the dialysis.
Yeah.
So I don't understand.
Flo, most probably.
Yes.
Can you hear me, Flo?
Yes, I can hear you, doctor.
Yes, most probably because this kid has been in long-term medication because of asthma.
Yes.
Maybe he has gotten to this point that the pancreas is damaged or something. So don't worry, yours is just to confirm if there is that issue. Then after that, it's good now we chip in. We assist now the pancreas part of it with the regenerative treatment, and the kid will be free from insulin. Yes.
Okay. And so I do the Takara patches, the way you've said it, the alfalfa.
Yes.
Itera care,
kindly assist the kid with that, and also the Itera care.
Okay.
And is a he? He'll be back to normalcy.
Okay. Thanks, Doc. Appreciate.
Don't worry.
Yeah, that's very true. Because I can actually believe the problem, if it's insulin shots, the problem is not with the blood sugar. If it's an organelle, now blowing the Itera care will be okay to ensure the insulin production can happen naturally.
Okay.
Yeah, so any other question?
Can I check on the
Can I add something, please? My name is
Yeah, you
Margaret.
can add some.
Maybe he's been on prednisone for a long time.
Hello.
But also, he's been
May
on
I
Can you
check
check?
prednisone.
the asthma bit?
We
Maybe
shall
no,
do like this. We shall have
he's been on.
Mr. Kombe talking, and then we shall give room to the next,
Okay.
and let us be done by 9:40. Can you?
With asthma,
Yeah.
there is something that I've been doing to asthma patient and it has completely disappeared. Now I don't know whether to discuss it here because I've been using Iteracare
Yeah.
and something else that I make myself because when we were young, we used to have those problems. And since there were even no vaccinations at that time, we were exposed to nature at a very early stage. So there are people
Yeah.
who have been very asthmatic, and
Yeah.
I tried to combine the Iteracare therapy and this is something else. And surprisingly, asthma has completely disappeared. I have also assisted people with pneumonia who have had a very serious pneumonia with the same combination, and they are living very well. So that's why I said
Yeah.
I don't know whether to discuss it here because it is nature
Yeah.
that we combine with Iteracare
Yeah.
to
Very,
get rid
very,
of
very good.
asthma.
Yeah, very good, Mr. Kombe. And I know maybe there are probably maybe someone here wondering how is this Iteracare be able to, or how can these people be able to proclaim that I've treated all these kind of the diseases with the Iteracare? Remember, an Iteracare, it's not that if you just understand what the TERA's frequency is and its impact on cells and how ultimate health is achieved within or at cellular level, you shall know that if we can address any disruption of biological process in a cellular level, there is no disease which cannot be treated. And that's why it's like the Iteracare treats almost everything, because our body optimum condition depends on our cellular level condition. That's what extrapolates. For microcirculation to be perfect, will ensure that the blood circulation to the organelles is perfect. So the microcirculation has to be perfect within a cell for the extra or the extrapolated blood circulation in organs to be perfect. So it has to start somewhere. And that's why we address the root cause to ensure that the body is very perfect from or far from any danger to any kind of illness, because the body is in the capacity to fight for itself. So that's the power of the Iteracare. It ensures that your body is nothing can be a threat to it. And that's why if you are wondering how we are claiming this Iteracare to do those wonders, that's the idea. There will be a session maybe I shall take in addressing the Iteracare as a topic on its own again. But so far we have so much to get to the bottom of, but I know we shall come to it. Any other question? I think
Rooney,
Comment.
before you go,
I think
I
we
think
have we shall
Mr.
go
Kombe,
with the order on the charts, and but first there was Madam Margaret
Margaret Rayola,
Rayola. You
yes.
can
Yes, I just want to make a comment. With the asthmatic
just
patient, he might have been taking a lot of cortisons. That can also increase
cortisol.
the blood sugar. Cortisone. Cortisone.
You're asking
Cortisone.
what is cortisol?
No, he might have been taking a lot of cortisone. That might have affected his blood sugar.
Yeah. I
Medication.
think Madam Florence, you can drop your number on the chat, because there is I think there's too much help that you can benefit from, and we shall proceed to a question, I think, which is very direct to Dr. Cynthia. What would you recommend for a child with cerebral palsy? Dr. Cynthia, you are. I think this question is for you because you have another.
With a child with cerebral palsy, we have to do the analysis first, because first of all, we are supposed to understand the deficits due to the fact that they suffer lots of deficit due to their consumption of food. So it's good we start there. So if this what I would suggest is that this person just to drop the number so that we can communicate, the child to be taken for analysis. Then from there, I'll be able to advise now. Yeah.
Okay.
We just
Any
don't
other
do
question?
recommendation. Yes. It's good
Okay,
to
any other
start with the
question?
analysis first.
Okay. I think time is much far ahead of us, and the reason we left much room for question and answer is because it will be much painful if there's anyone who will be left unanswered, despite the fact that we
Rooney,
shall have. Yeah.
I believe we are in our last 3 minutes so that we can close. I think there was a concern with Mr. Randu, and he's quite helpful with all these discussions, and he was asking whether he can share what he has for asthma. But I was suggesting, because of interest of time, in your series of the training, kindly slot in asthma and lungs as one of your topics.
Yeah.
And also maybe one question maybe that will go to Dr. Cynthia, maybe for clarity for the members who are in this Zoom call, is about the insulin shots, because it's when people go and they have diabetes and they are given insulin shots, despite whether they have type 1 or type 2. So maybe it's good for Dr. Cynthia to clarify which diabetes is supposed to be given insulin shots, because not all of them, because I think there we usually have a problem.
Yeah. And I think I can even help with that question so that we may have from my side and Dr. Cynthia's side. And my answer will be this: only type 1 diabetes should have insulin shots, of which it should not be prolonged if you're using the type of regenerative treatment. But the reason insulin shots is provided to type 1 diabetes, it's because you have already damaged the organ responsible to provide insulin. But in type 2 diabetes, the insulin is being the pancreas is very normal, so insulin is being produced, but it's the cells which are not in the capacity to allow glucose to enter. There's insulin resistance by the cells. So in type 2 diabetes, what's the reason of doing insulin shots when the pancreas is very normal? It's only that there's insulin resistance for the cells. That will be my take. And very fast, Dr. Cynthia, we can hear from your take so that we may have it.
Rooney, you are so correct. The insulin shots are supposed to be given to people suffering from type 1 diabetes. And I would like to add something before we wind up. I would like to clarify that the people who are here listening and maybe are suffering from diabetes, don't go and throw away your medication. You should continue taking your medication until now there is a follow-up that is done from your doctor, and that is while now going through the regenerative way of treatment. And after a while, the doctor is the one who is supposed now to regulate this medication, not you. So I wanted to share this. And again, to those people who are not affected with diabetes, I would like to give them this information that don't wait until you are there. Have your eye-care device, ease your circulation, and because it will assist on workouts. Those people, in fact, this device came to assist us in a big way because so many people are busy out there. They are like, they don't have time for gym. They don't have time for walking. So it's good to buy this device, have it in your house, as in after bath, just do the eye care in the morning. So have like 10 minutes for the eye care, and you'll have this doctor in the house because I would urge people not to wait until now they reach this point whereby they are now getting treated. It's good to prevent, because prevention is always better than cure. So those are the two key things I wanted to urge each and everybody. So it's good also, it's good to watch on our diet. Let us avoid ile kukula tu just for the sake of kukula. As in, let's remember that if you don't take or consume food as medication for now, you're gonna take or consume medication later as your food. So let's avoid that. Let's watch out. Tuache tamaa mingi, tuache ile kusikia tu mi napenda hii na siwezi acha. Hapana. Let us be cautious and we shall not reach to this point. So the key thing here is prevention. Now, if we get these devices, we have a better life to live now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I've only seen there was a last question which has been provided a very elaborate answer by the PRIFE International Group by Pauline Nungu. So Pauline, if you need any additional information now in the case of that motor neuron disease, I'm here to help you. Same to Dr. Cynthia. So if you are content, it's okay. I believe that everyone in this meeting has been content with the information provided. Remember, the only thing we can do to achieve mastery, this is the start, just the beginning of this regenerative treatment here in Kenya. You guys have to be the one to master it by acting. It's working. There are some things which you cannot even guarantee as we are tied. But if we have a massive movement of people with massive testimonials, because it's true the machine works without any doubt, we shall reach to the mark where the iteracare, it's a device. We just pass it to the world with this work that we are doing now, and that will only come from mastery. What we are doing by learning is just bringing familiarity, but we have to act. We must blow the machine to know it happens. I've used the machine in a dog which was suffering from parvovirus, which it had to die if I was to ask a veterinary, but it survived. If I wouldn't take the initiative to do that, I could conform to the idea that parvovirus is an inevitable disease that has to cause death. But by mastering it by acting, I can believe and I can stand in my opinion that an iteracare can help a dog which was about to die from the parvovirus, an infant dog, you can imagine. So we have to take the initiative. This is a new device, a very revolutionary device, very much privileged to be the first or among the first people to hear about it here in Kenya. Just blow, see the results. Let's part in this motion together. I will just allow this moment to Margaret Rayola and let it be the last person, and we shall proceed during the next meeting. Yeah, Margaret.
Yes, I have a question about Parkinsonism. Does it help with that? How does the iteracare help?
What does? Kindly?
Parkinsonism.
Margaret, can you type on the chat? Kindly, can you type on the chat your question so that I may be, or if anyone...
Are you talking about Parkinson's disease?
Yes.
Okay, very good. It's good you asked that question when I'm here. I had a patient who had been suffering from Parkinson's disease, I think, for the last 20 or so years. He lives somewhere in Jomvu in Mombasa. And it was like a miracle, not only to the family, but also to neighbors. After several sessions, I think 5,
yes,
the man now started doing wonders. The shaking stopped, and many other things that the family and neighbors and friends used to see completely stopped, and he became normal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I have it and I've tried using the iteracare, but it doesn't seem to be helping.
Are you using it yourself? I mean, are you blowing yourself?
Somebody does.
Come again?
Somebody does it for me.
Someone does it for
And
you.
how frequent do you?
How does he start blowing? Maybe
From the hands,
uh-huh.
and then the legs,
Uh-huh.
and then goes to the chest
Uh-huh.
and the abdomen, and the
Uh-huh.
back goes to the
Uh-huh.
shoulders, and then to the spine,
Mm-hmm.
and then down to my butt, my
Uh-huh.
legs, and then a
Okay.
bit on my head. Yes,
Uh-huh.
because I
Okay,
have.
do this. The way I do it is totally different. Start with
Yes.
the feet,
Mm-hmm.
okay?
Mm-hmm.
Start from the feet as you lie on
Yes.
your back.
Yes.
Blow the feet several times.
Yes.
And then from the feet,
Mm-hmm.
just go up following the meridian. I mean, blowing up where you can actually wake up the meridians from the
Mm-hmm.
feet upwards.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So as we start with the feet,
Mm-hmm.
you come from where the feet actually step on the ground. Then
Mm-hmm.
now you come to the top of the feet. And then now you start moving upwards up to the knee, up
Mm-hmm.
to the thighs.
Mm-hmm.
You just blow straight
Mm-hmm.
and then up to the waist.
Mm-hmm.
You blow several times. And then now you go up the abdomen, the chest,
Mm-hmm.
up to the neck.
Mm-hmm.
Concentrate so much
Mm-hmm.
on these blood vessels that come from the shoulders, where they're interlinked here, and then they supply the brain with blood. Those ones are very important. So you take a lot of time there. You can even reduce the frequency maybe to 2 or 1 if you are using number 3.
Yeah, that's
You
premium.
can don't blow the head so much during the first 3 days. You can blow maybe on the 5th day. You can actually blow the whole head when you are sure that there's enough blood circulation to the brain. Now, when you turn, that is when you lie on your back now, start again from the feet. Then you come to the, what do you call the ankle, this part, the rear foot, where now the sciatic, there's a point when you do reflexology, there's a point there for the sciatic nerve. Okay? Then you blow that one, and then now you start coming up. So you go up the leg, up the thighs, the buttocks, the waist, and then when you come to the backbone, that is where you really take a lot of time.
Yes.
Okay? Just do it slowly up until you come to the, when you come to the first vertebrae, now you start the cervical spine. Okay? Now, when you're on the cervical spine, remember that there are these blood vessels which you have blown from the other side, because they're all interlinked from somewhere inside the shoulder here, and then they come up. So blow them nicely until you come to the base of the head. And then you can also go around the ears on both sides.
Yes.
You can actually, after you do that, you can actually come and concentrate on the spine. You can blow up to 25 or even 35 times. You go up to the back of the head, then you come up to the, what is the last part of the spine? After the cervical, no, the
Coccyx.
lumbar vertebrae, the coccyx. Okay? So you do it like that. You can go up to 25 or 35. There's one. There's another person who also had Parkinson's that I used to do 50 times, just slowly. Okay. Then on the 5th day, when you can now come to the head, where you can blow the whole head. I am very sure in the next 10 to 15 days, that Parkinson disease will be gone.
I've got hypertension, so
Yeah,
how do I do for the head?
Huh?
About the head with hypertension, they say you shouldn't do the head.
Yeah, if you avoid the head during the first 4 days so that you go to it the 5th day, so that if the person has hypertension, then the body will be properly introduced to that frequency such that when you go to the head, that hypertension will disappear.
Okay.
In fact, I've had people who have had hypertension whose hypertension has stabilized. I mean, the blood pressure has come to back to normal, and that is how they even stopped medication for hypertension.
Okay, now the other
Using
thing is I had a blood clot in the brain and the lungs. So how
Come
does-
again?
I had a blood clot in the brain and the lungs.
Let's do this, Mr. Kombe.
Yeah.
Mr. Kombe, we
Yes.
shall do this, Madam Margaret. I think you, Mr. Kombe, you shall.
Inbox me.
Yeah, you can reach Madam Margaret at a personal level, but first or before I release Madam Margaret here, Madam Margaret, I would like to advise you this way: ensure that your body is not suffering from any form of deficiency first, so that you can see the results of the itinerary care. So I advise you that ensure that your body, if there is some required vitamins, let trace elements, let nothing which is required as food by your cells be lacking. That is the only way where the itinerary care or the results from it can be slowly manifested or cannot be even be seen in a very single way. So I advise you to ensure that your body is in a very good condition, supplemented with the required foods, and blow it then. Mr. Kombe, I would like you to take the personal initiative to work with Madam Margaret until the Parkinson's is a gone story, and that will be something that she shall come and testify. If it persists, we have Dr. Cynthia intervene. I believe that there must be a reason of something deficient, because that's the only way an itinerary cannot work. A cell, if it's in your body, if it's stimulated or excited by the tera's frequency, it must bow to the normal or the normal growth patterns and development patterns. So with that, I would like to adjourn the meeting at that. Remember, we are doing mastery. Mastery only comes from action. We must blow and we must see the results from this regenerative kind of treatment. Thank you, everyone, for joining the meeting. Remember, the next meeting now, we shall be seeing the effect of diabetes in our body. And the third meeting, we shall be seeing how diabetes can be the cause of other illnesses. Remember, these sugar coagulants, if they accumulate much in our body, they can cause some organs to fail. They can cause the high blood pressure. So there is something that has to be addressed. If you see that the machine is not working, no, there is a gap which has not been filled. So I believe even Dr. Cynthia, I shall give you the personal initiative to ensure that Madam Margaret, she has been reinstated from a condition by the regenerative way of treatment, because I have understand that you have said that you have the itinerary. So it's a matter of professional intervention, and everything will be back to normal. With that, guys, I wish you a very good night. Have a very wonderful and blessed sleep till we meet Esther next Wednesday. I've been your host, Rooney. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and please remember to
so
put
much.
sugar under your peanut.